Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host. It is a solo pod edition here today. Dan has the night off, and he will be rejoining us for the next main slate. As always, here on the podcast, what we are going to do first is we are going to go over the previous winning lineup, and we're going to go here. I'm going to go over here like that. Bam! Reform Racer, solo takedown of this past tournament. He had a 3-2-1, very interesting 3-2-1. He had Captain James solo, which is, again, very interesting. He had 3 Forze, which you needed on this slate, considering the ridiculous sweep that Forze did. It happens. Moving on. And he had 2 complexity. So, Captain James with Blame F and Config, Flit, Zordi, and Kensei. Not really much to go over here. You needed the way under-owned Forze rather. You know, kind of not surprising. They're the ones that went absolutely nuts and crazy. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with Forze. Do they make it past the next round? They had a tough time closing up map 2, though, for what it's worth. I don't know if just... Look, I think we figured out Virtus Pro. They are extremely top heavy. If your Kindar doesn't play well, they are not an elite team. They're a good team, but they're not an elite team. If your Kindar plays well, they're an elite team. And they're one of the toughest in Counter-Strike. Your Kindar didn't play well. Therefore, Virtus Pro didn't really do well. James held them up 58, 8, and 45 with the 1v2 clutch of 4K and a 5K. 121.5 Draftkings points in the captain spot. Ran back with 3 Forze, which is really interesting combo. Not something we typically see with a 3-1 from the same game on a 2-game slate. Very, very unique and different. Flit, Zordi, and Kensei all played really, really well. You needed all 3 of them to win a GPP. Blame F and Config, not surprising here. The 1-2 punch of complexity. Blame F didn't go absolutely bonkers. Again, 9400 only scored 60 points. It was Config. 49, 7, and 29 with a 4K. 82 DraftKings points at 7,200. You needed that. Flit went absolutely bonkers. 68, 11, and 49 with the 1v2 clutch. 2 4Ks for 97 DraftKings points at 7,000. He was the one you needed. Not really much else to go over here. Congrats to Reform Racer on the $5,000 takedown. Let's head over here to the next fun spark slate here. We got our first game of this 2-game slate. Is Extra Salt versus Big. Let me put the Pinnacle odds here for us real quick, because Big should be a heavy favorite, if I'm not mistaken from what I saw earlier today. Big are a minus 279 favorite. Extra Salt a plus 221 underdog. Evil Geniuses versus Dignitas. Evil Geniuses are a minus 153 favorite. Dignitas a plus 126 underdog. What have the trends been doing? Can I not see the trends on this? It is fine. I find that very interesting. And the reason I find it very interesting is Evil Geniuses, again, while overall the better team, the better players, they're the tier 1 team, this Dignitas team has been really, really good. I'd be interested to see what ownerships are. People probably going to gravitate towards EG. They know playing Mihu from Envy. I've talked to some people today who I very much respect, and they think that Dignitas are going to be more chalk because EG have a new roster. So this is the debuting Mihu in replace of Tarek. So strats will be more simplified. You might see some different, more basic gameplay while EG incorporate Mihu into this roster. Mihu's only been officially part of the roster for a couple of days. So this EG team is going through a lot of changes. Oboe is still brand new on this team. It'll be very interesting. Let's get back to Big and Extra Salt. Extra Salt are the way to get different on this slate. Extra Salt here, their pricing. OC is at 7,600. Marquee is 7,000. Sonic is 5,800. Fang 5,400. And JT at 5,000. Let's head over to hltv.org. We're going to head over here to matches. And after matches, we're going to go hit to event. We're going to go Fun Spark. We're going to take a look at Big versus Extra Salt. We're going to go to the Extra Salt the extra salt roster, excuse me. Stats, all stats, online. Over the last 3 months of play, they have played 70 maps together. Let's take a look at what they've done. OC, to no one's surprise, is plus 525. He was towards the end of that Cloud9 roster, he was the ace of that roster, even though Floppy was supposed to be. Also, sad news hearing that Floppy and Zeppa are making their transition over to Valorant to be part of the Cloud9 Blue roster. I think it's called Cloud9 Blue. But they're going over to the Cloud9 roster of Valorant. Wish them all the success in the world. Hopefully they eventually come back to CSGO. JT's minus 17. Let's put this over the last month of play. OC is plus 35. Sonic is plus 23. Marky's plus 10. Fang plus 1. JT minus 42. Let's go versus last 3 months versus top 20 teams. Extra Salt have not played anyone in the top 20 over the last 3 months, which I kind of find that to be false. Didn't they? They just played Team Spirit. I guess they're not considered the top 20 team? Crazy. They got their butts kicked by Team Spirit in the Blasphemy Spring Showdown. But they haven't really been facing top-tier opponents. It's been a lot of Triumph. I mean, Pain a couple of times. The Bad News Bears. High Coast. So it's a lot of these tier 2-ish, 3-ish teams. But, you know, this roster is very good. I would expect Big to probably come into this like it's an okay team and they're just going to do whatever they can. I'm not underestimating Extra Salt. I think they're the best leverage on the slate. I wouldn't mind going 2 to 3 of them in tournaments. On the big side of things, Searson, Xantaras, Tabson. My favorites from this team, Searson's 8,600 and the most expensive player on the slate. Happy play whoever you want, slate. Yeah, I said it. Deal with it. Need higher priced people. Draftkings, we need higher priced players. I understand it's a 2-game slate and it's fun, Spark, but you get an $11 tournament now. More entries. We need some better pricing. So please give us some more dynamic pricing if we can, if you are listening. But Searson at 8,600 being the most expensive on the slate, I get it. There's not really anyone on this slate who kind of warrants over that $9,000 price tag, so I understand it. My favorites on this slate would be Searson. I want to make him a core play, but I can't just because I want to play a lot of Extra Salt. But he's probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. Xantaras. What has Xantaras done the last couple? Let me just do this real quick. What has Marky done? Marky was okay on Chaos, but what's he done with this roster? I'm just really curious. Sorry, folks. Hang on. So Marky isn't bad. We'll talk about him in a second. Head back to matches. We're going to head to Vent. FunSpark. Here's my issue with Big. Sometimes these guys just disappear, and they just have absolutely terrible maps. I mean, this is a team that has recently lost to Havu. With all due respect, they played great. They lost to Renegades back in EPL. Very surprising. Lost to Fun plus Phoenix. So let's take a look at this team over the last day went to play. 43 maps played. Xantaras leading this team at a 1.13 kill to death ratio and plus 96 kill to death differential. Tabson at plus 43. Searson's plus 90. Keto minus 37. Tizian minus 121 over the last month of play. Xantaras, they've only played 5 maps over the last month. And that was in the Pinnacle Cup against Endpoint and Havu. Xantaras plus 10. Tabson minus 11. Searson even. Keto minus 11. Tizian a minus 24. For me on this slate, I think I'm going to take a look at the 3-month sample size here. I like Tabson, Xantaras, and Searson. For me, it's Searson, Xantaras, Tabson in that order. I don't really know if this is going to be a Tabson day, but he's definitely a wild card on this slate. Keto and Tizian only in MME formats, and obviously we can see the stats on Tizian. $1,600, plenty of other cheap plays on this slate. I kind of would rather play Sonic and Fang over Tizian. But not over Keto. I kind of want to play Sonic over Keto, not over Fang. So I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Extra Salt. And then just differentiating between EG and Dignitas. Which, in fact, is our next game here on the slate. It is Evil Geniuses versus Dignitas. Breezy is 8,400. Obo's at 8,000. Cirque at 7,400. The debuting Mihu is 7,000. And Stanislaw, the IGL, is $6,000. On the Dignitas side of things, Lekro is the most expensive Dignitas at 7,200. Heap at 6,400. Forrest at 6,200. Halzerk at 5,600. And Freiberg, the IGL, at 5,200. Halzerk is the opper for Dignitas. Cirque, the opper for EG. Look, folks, I'm not going to blame you if you want to go double dog on the slate and you want to go Extra Salt and Dignitas. Don't mind that at all. Halzerk, actually, I kind of sort of got a feeling I really like Halzerk of anyone Dignitas. If you want safety, it's Lekro, Heap, Halzerk, Forrest, Freiberg in that order from me. On the EG side of things, Breezy, Mihu, Obo, Cirque, Stanislaw. Yes, I put Mihu too. Mihu has a ton of talent. He was on Envy. He was the ace of that roster. Mihu was really, really good. The problem is you're incorporating now another new player on top of Obo, who's another recently relatively new player. Again, the thing with Counter-Strike is there are very many different strategies and ways to implement things. I mean, we even saw with OG, some of their stuff looked very basic. Or it was one of these other rosters. I remember hearing one of the analysts, it's like, just very basic runs. Right? And again, that's fine. But you're incorporating new people. You all still have massive talent. But the intangibles you can't quantify for DFS, strategies, gameplay, team chemistry, team communications, all these different kinds of things. You get your timings, you get your callouts, you get who's where on the map, who's doing what role. A lot of things you can't quantify, and right now, EG are going through that phase now with two people. Excuse me. With that being said, I don't mind mixing up my lineups with EG and Dignitas. And like I said, playing some Extra Salt and Big as well. Core plays for me on this slate. Like I said, Searson's close to a core play. I don't really have one, to be quite honest. OC and Searson are the closest things to core plays to me, so they're my high-end GPP plays for this slate. Value plays, Heap at 6,400 and Fords at 62,000. No excuse for them being this low for how good they've been doing. Sonic at 5,800 and Halzerk at 5,600. GPP plays, like I said, it's going to be Searson, Mihu, Xantaris, Breezy, Obo, Tabson, OC. And you can really have anyone on this all 20 players can be GPP plays, but those are some of my favorites. I also like Heap and Forrest as well. My favorite team stack is Extra Salt, just because I'm going to get different on the slate. I want to get different. I don't know how an Extra Salt's going to be. If there's one thing the last week and a half of Counter-Strike have told us, underdogs can upset in any matchup against any Tier 1 team. Extra Salt are not bad. Don't forget, three members of this team used to be part of the old Cloud9 roster. OC, Sonic, and JT. JT isn't good. Well, he isn't that good. He might be the support player or maybe IGL. I'm not too sure. Marquis is good on my chance on Marquis as well. That is going to do it for this episode of the Counter-Strike Clutch podcast. Sorry, the CSGO Clutch podcast. It's late. I'm tired. Anyway, want to get one of these podcasts off for you guys. Like I said, Dan has the night off. And Dan and I are back for the next main slate. Dan and I have, hopefully, a big announcement coming soon. But on top of that announcement, like I've been mentioning, we have a Twitter that's going to be releasing very, very soon. We're going to hopefully have some other stuff behind the scenes that we are working on. And DreamHack, Dan and I are going to debut a brand new segment on the podcast. That being said, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Again, really helps us out. We really want to continue to grow this thing for you all. You don't have to take our advice, but it's here to help you all make the best lineups as possible and help you all continue to win at CSGO DFS. That being said, You can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. Good luck on this slate. Latest, peoples.